She said, "We're in an open relationship now, and I already have a new partner." I replied, "Well, okay." The words hung in our kitchen like smoke from a grease fire. Sarah stood by the granite counter, her manicured fingers drumming against the surface. She'd rehearsed this moment, I could tell. The way she held her shoulders, the practiced tone. This wasn't spontaneous. "That's it?" she asked, eyebrows raised. "Just okay?" I sipped my coffee, letting the silence stretch. 15 years of marriage, and she expected fireworks, drama, maybe tears? "What did you want me to say?" Her face twisted with something between disappointment and irritation. Sarah had always fed off emotional reactions. My calm response clearly wasn't in her script. "Most husbands would be upset," she said. "Most husbands don't work in cybersecurity," I replied. "We're trained to assess threats logically." She laughed, but it sounded forced. "Threat?" "This is about honesty, David. About being authentic." Authentic. The word tasted bitter in my mouth. I'd heard her use it a lot lately, usually when describing her yoga instructor or that new book club she'd joined, the one that met at expensive wine bars downtown. "When did this start?" I asked. "Does it matter?" Timeline always matters. Sarah's jaw tightened. She hated when I got analytical. 3 months. 3 months. Right around the time she'd started working out more, buying new clothes, taking those mysterious phone calls in the other room. The pieces clicked into place with satisfying precision. "And this partner," I continued. "Do I know him?" "It's not about him." "Everything's about someone, Sarah." She grabbed her purse from the counter. "I'm staying at Jessica's tonight. We can talk more tomorrow when you've processed this." After she left, I sat in the empty kitchen, processing nothing and everything. The house felt different now, like a crime scene after the investigators leave. Evidence of a life together, but the life itself was gone. I pulled out my laptop and started typing. The next morning, I called in sick to work. First time in 3 years. My boss, Jennifer, didn't question it, one of the perks of being reliable. I spent the day doing what I do best, gathering information. Sarah's social media had become suspiciously private recently, but she'd forgotten about our shared cloud storage. Every photo, every document, every receipt, all synced automatically. The evidence painted a clear picture. Dinner receipts from restaurants I'd never been to. Photos tagged at locations during hours she claimed to be at her book club. Credit card charges at a hotel downtown, the expensive one with valet parking. But the real treasure was in her deleted photos folder. She thought deleting them from her phone meant they were gone. Amateur mistake. The man in the photos looked like he'd stepped out of a cologne ad. Tall, silver-haired, wearing suits that cost more than my monthly salary. In one image, they were kissing by a fountain. In another, he was handing her keys to a red sports car. A reverse image search gave me his name. William Hayes, owner of Hayes Construction. Divorced, wealthy, known for his expensive tastes and younger girlfriends. I leaned back in my chair, studying his photo. So this was my replacement. This was the man Sarah thought was worth throwing away 15 years of marriage. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Staying another night at Jessica's. Need space to think." I typed back, "Take all the time you need." But I wasn't planning to give her any space at all. Sarah's stepmother, Helen, lived alone in a modest house across town. I'd always liked Helen. She was practical, sharp-witted, and nothing like Sarah's biological mother. When Sarah's father died 5 years ago, Helen had handled the funeral arrangements with quiet dignity while Sarah complained about the catering. I knocked on Helen's door at 7 p.m., holding a bottle of her favorite wine. "David?" She looked surprised. "Is everything okay? Can I come in? I need to talk to someone." Helen's living room was warm and lived in, filled with books and family photos. She poured us each a glass of wine and settled into her armchair. "Sarah told me," she said quietly. About the open marriage. She called you? Yesterday she seemed excited about it. Helen's tone suggested she didn't share the excitement. I told her she was making a mistake. What did she say? That I wouldn't understand because I'm from a different generation. Helen sipped her wine. 47 isn't that old, last I checked. I studied Helen's face in the lamplight. She was attractive in a way Sarah would never be. Naturally beautiful without the constant maintenance. Genuine smiles instead of practiced ones. I'm thinking about divorce, I said. That's probably wise. But first, I want to try something. Helen raised an eyebrow. What kind of something? I told her about Sarah's new boyfriend, about the photos, about the lies. Helen listened without interruption, her expression growing colder with each detail. She always was selfish, Helen said finally, even as a child. Her father spoiled her. Would you like to help me teach her a lesson? Helen set down her wine glass. What did you have in mind? A week later, I was sitting across from Helen at Romano's, the Italian place downtown. It was expensive, visible, and exactly the kind of restaurant Sarah liked to be seen at. Helen looked stunning. She'd let her hair down and was wearing a black dress that showed off her figure. We'd been laughing about something when I spotted Sarah near the entrance. She'd frozen mid-step, staring at our table. Don't look now, I murmured to Helen. But we have an audience. Helen smiled and reached across the table to touch my hand. Is it working? Better than I hoped. Sarah approached slowly like she was walking through a minefield. Her face was a masterclass in poorly concealed shock. David? Helen? Her voice was pitched higher than usual. What are you two doing here? Having dinner, I said. Helen was telling me about her art classes. Art classes? Watercolors, Helen said smoothly. David's been very encouraging about my creative pursuits. Sarah's eyes darted between us, clearly trying to process what she was seeing. This is unexpected? Is it? I asked. You said we were in an open relationship. I took your advice about being authentic. The color drained from Sarah's face. I didn't mean... What didn't you mean? That I should find someone who appreciates me? I squeezed Helen's hand. Helen understands loyalty. Sarah's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Behind her I could see William Hayes approaching, probably wondering what was taking so long. Sarah? Hayes appeared at her elbow, all silver hair and expensive cologne. Is everything all right? William, I stood and extended my hand. David Mitchell, Sarah's husband. And this is Helen, Sarah's stepmother. Hayes shook my hand, clearly uncomfortable. Pleasure to meet you. Likewise. Sarah's told me so much about you. Sarah shot me a warning look, but I ignored it. Well, Hayes said, we should get to our table. After they left, Helen started laughing. Did you see her face? Priceless, I agreed, but this is just the beginning. Over the next 2 weeks, Helen and I became a regular item around town. We went to the farmer's market, the art museum, even the movies. Word spread quickly through Sarah's social circle. My phone rang constantly. David, what the hell are you doing? Sarah's voice was shrill. Helen is my stepmother. And you're my wife, but that didn't stop you. That's completely different. How? Silence. How is it different, Sarah? Because it just is. The logical part of my brain cataloged every inconsistency, every hypocritical statement. But the darker part, the part that was growing stronger each day, just enjoyed watching her squirm. Helen makes me happy, I said. Isn't that what you wanted? For both of us to be happy? Not like this. Like what? You mean not with someone who actually cares about my feelings? Not with someone who doesn't lie about where she's spending her evenings? I never lied. Hayes Construction Hotel, room 412, last Tuesday at 3 p.m. That evening, Helen called. Sarah came by the house, she said. She was crying. What did she say? That I was destroying her marriage. I told her she'd already done that herself. How did she take it? About as well as you'd expect. She called me some names I won't repeat. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Sarah had always been mean when cornered, but attacking Helen crossed a line. Are you okay? I'm fine, David. But I'm worried about you. Why? You're changing. This whole thing, it's making you harder. She wasn't wrong. I could feel it happening. Each day, each small victory over Sarah, each piece of evidence I gathered. The man who'd said well okay to his wife's betrayal was disappearing, replaced by someone colder, someone who planned 3 moves ahead. Maybe that's not a bad thing, I said. Maybe not. But don't lose yourself completely. Too late for that, I thought. But I didn't say it out loud. I hired a private investigator, not because I needed more evidence of Sarah's affair, I had plenty, but because I wanted leverage. Tony Moretti had worked fraud cases for the police before going private. He was thorough, discreet, and expensive, worth every penny. Your wife's boyfriend has an interesting history, Tony said, sliding a folder across the table at our coffee shop meeting. 3 previous marriages, all ending badly. 2 bankruptcy filings. And he's currently being investigated by the State Contractors Board for bid rigging. I flipped through the documents. Bank statements, court filings, photographs. Hayes wasn't just wealthy, he was desperate. His construction company was hemorrhaging money, kept afloat by increasingly questionable deals. How desperate? I asked. Desperate enough to marry money if he found it. The pieces clicked into place. Sarah had been talking about her inheritance lately, the trust fund from her father that would vest when she turned 35, next month. He's not after her, I realized. He's after her money. Looks that way. And if they get married, he gets half of everything in a divorce. Tony nodded. Unless someone warned her first. I closed the folder. Someone should definitely warn her. You planning to be the hero? I smiled, and it felt wrong on my face. Cold. I'm planning to be something. I found Sarah at her book club, which wasn't actually a book club at all. It was 5 women drinking wine at an upscale bar, gossiping about their lives. I recognized most of them. Wives of successful men, women who'd never worked a day but complained constantly about being unfulfilled. David? Sarah's face went white. What are you doing here? We need to talk. Her friends exchanged glances, sensing drama. Sarah reluctantly followed me to a quiet corner booth. I know about the trust fund, I said without preamble. What about it? I know Hayes knows about it too. Sarah's expression flickered, confusion, then understanding, then fear. I don't know what you're implying. I slid the folder across the table. He's broke, Sarah. His company's going under. He needs your money. She opened the folder, her face growing paler with each page. Where did you get this? Does it matter? You had him investigated? I had us both investigated. Want to see your file? Her hands were shaking now. You're lying. Page 12, bank statements. He's 3 months behind on his mortgage. Page 18, court documents from his last divorce. His ex-wife says he married her for her inheritance too. Sarah closed the folder, but I could see her mind racing. Even if this is true, it doesn't change how I feel. Doesn't it? She stood abruptly. I'm not listening to this. One more thing, I called after her. Ask him about the other women. Tony found 4 of them, all wealthy, all discarded after he got what he needed. She walked away, but I knew the seeds were planted. Sarah was many things, but stupid wasn't one of them. She'd start questioning, start looking for signs, and Hayes, desperate as he was, would make mistakes. 3 days later, Sarah showed up at the house. She looked terrible, hollow-eyed, like she hadn't slept. "We need to talk," she said. I let her in. We sat in the living room, the space between us feeling like a canyon. "You were right," she said quietly. "About William." "What happened?" I asked him about his finances. He got angry, defensive, started talking about how we needed to be practical, how my trust fund could secure our future. She laughed bitterly. Our future. He had it all planned out. "I'm sorry." "Are you?" She looked at me with eyes that had lost their sparkle. "Or are you glad you were right?" "Both," I thought. But I said, "I'm sorry you got hurt. I ended it with him yesterday. He didn't take it well." "What did he do?" "Threatened me. Said I'd regret it. That he'd make sure everyone knew what kind of person I really was." She wiped her eyes. "Like that matters now." I felt something shift inside me. Despite everything, Sarah was still my wife, still the woman I'd loved for 15 years. Seeing her broken like this should have made me feel protective. Instead, I felt satisfied. "What do you want, Sarah?" "I want to come home. I want to fix this." "Fix what, exactly?" "Our marriage. I made a mistake. You made a choice. You chose him over me. You chose to lie, to cheat, to destroy 15 years of trust. That's not a mistake. That's who you are." Her face crumpled. "David, please. I love you." "No, you don't. You love what I represent. Security, stability. Someone to pay the bills while you play house with your next boyfriend. That's not fair." "Fair?" I stood up, feeling something dark and powerful rising in my chest. "You want to talk about fair?" "Fair would be if I'd left you the day I found out. Fair would be if I'd cleaned out our accounts and disappeared. Fair would be if I'd told your friends, your family, your precious book club exactly what kind of person you are." "David." "But I didn't do any of that. Instead, I gave you exactly what you asked for. An open marriage. Freedom to be authentic." I smiled, and this time I didn't care how wrong it felt. "How's that freedom working out for you?" She was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. "I'll do anything. Counseling, therapy, whatever you want. I want you to leave. This is my house too. Actually, it's not." I pulled out another folder, this one prepared by my lawyer. "The house is in my name. I bought it before we married. You have no legal claim to it." Her crying stopped. "What?" "I've filed for divorce, Sarah. You'll be served tomorrow. I'm keeping the house, my retirement accounts, and my car. You can keep whatever Hayes didn't convince you to spend." She stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. "Who are you?" "I'm the man you made me." Sarah moved in with Jessica temporarily, then found a small apartment across town. The divorce proceeded quickly. No kids, minimal shared assets, a clear case of adultery. My lawyer said it was one of the cleanest divorces he'd handled. Helen and I ended our fake relationship amicably. She'd enjoyed the performance, but we both knew it was just that, a performance designed to teach Sarah a lesson. "You got what you wanted," Helen said over coffee. "Sarah's life is in shambles and you're free." "Yes. So why don't you look happy?" I considered the question. Sarah was gone. Hayes had apparently left town after his business collapsed. I had the house, my job, my routine back. Everything should have been perfect. But Helen was right. I didn't feel happy. I felt empty. "Revenge is like junk food," Helen said. "It tastes good going down, but it doesn't really nourish you." Maybe not. But it was still satisfying. Was it? Or are you just telling yourself that? I didn't answer because I wasn't sure I knew the answer. 6 months later, I was at the grocery store when I saw Sarah. She was thinner, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, wearing jeans and a sweater instead of her usual designer clothes. She looked ordinary. "David." She seemed genuinely surprised to see me. "How are you?" "Fine. You?" "Getting by. I got a job at the library. It's not much, but I like it." A job. Sarah had never worked during our marriage, claimed she was too busy managing our social calendar. Now she was working at the library. "That's good," I said, and meant it. "I've been thinking about you," she said, "about us, about what went wrong. And I think I know now. I think I was so focused on what I thought I deserved, what I thought I was missing, that I forgot to appreciate what I had." She looked directly at me. "I forgot to appreciate you." There was something different about her. The artificial polish was gone, replaced by something that seemed more real, more genuine. "It's too late for apologies, Sarah." "I know. I'm not apologizing. I'm just acknowledging. You were a good husband, and I was a terrible wife. You deserved better." She turned to go, then stopped. "I heard about Helen. That you two were seeing each other. We weren't really together. It was just, I know what it was. It was brilliant, actually. You knew exactly what would hurt me most." She smiled sadly. "You always were smarter than me." After she left, I stood in the cereal aisle for a long time, thinking about what she'd said, about revenge and justice, and the difference between the two. I'd won. Sarah had lost everything: her marriage, her security, her illusions about love and money, and what really mattered. Hayes was gone, his construction company bankrupt, his reputation ruined. I'd gotten my revenge, complete and total. So why did it feel so hollow? That night, I sat in my empty house, surrounded by the silence I'd thought I wanted. The TV droned in the background, some crime show about justice and punishment. I thought about the man I'd been 15 years ago, the man who'd fallen in love with Sarah's laugh and her dreams of the future. That man was gone, replaced by someone harder, colder, more calculating. Someone who could orchestrate a perfect revenge and feel satisfied watching it unfold. I'd become exactly what Sarah deserved. And maybe that was the most frightening thing of all.